Let me get this out of the way first and foremost. Hyperion is mega mongo busty busted in this game on this character. I did have to melee a lot of guys before I could actually use a gun, but that's pretty normal. But yada yada, level up, equip gun, flame knuckle. Hyperion is interesting because they make a lot of my favorite gear to use on Nisha, which I'll talk about later on. I'll keep all of that brief, but one thing I should mention here is old and new Hyperion. Old is more damage, less everything else. There, job done. The site bl2.parts has info for specifics, but generally that's all you really need to know, and it doesn't really matter too much for this run, honestly. Mission reward item number 1, the first DOS kit you get. I didn't realize that was Hyperion until this run. Mission reward item number 2, the second DOS kit you get. Both of them are probably pretty decent, but I didn't use either of them much at all because of a non-unique kit Hyperion makes, the Precision Strike. But you know, gun damage good. That's nice. I'm more into crit damage. This is the only type of boss kit I used for this entire run because it synergizes excellently with Nisha's skills and her only Hyperion class mod. But I don't have any of those skills or a class mod yet, so it would have been better to use the gun damage boosts. Oh well. Damage wasn't an issue either way. Okay, now damage is an issue. Not the damage I'm doing to the boss, the damage the boss is doing to me, because Hyperion shields don't unlock until I think level 15. And Belly loves having a fire laser, so I need to be very careful and keep him stunned as much as possible. After getting him split, this will become much easier. I got him split on my first attempt, and died shortly after. Since I don't have a shield, this fight was really just a series of ups and downs. Luckily I didn't have to resort to the door cheese. And then red is like whatever. These guys weren't nearly as bad as they could have been, which is nice because I'm gonna farm them for a black snake after I meet Damarith. 33% chance, which is why I'm bothering to farm it. The XP is nice too. I might not have farmed for this if I'd had better luck finding guns. For Jeeper's sake, I'm still using the very first pistol I picked up. That's no good. Thankfully, by the time I had gotten to the bosun, I found a shotgun. And yowza, that's a lot of damage. Here I was all worried this fight would be hard since I don't have a shield. I also found a class mod, but in TVHM I purposefully avoid the red tree since it's so strong, so I'm not getting any of the skills it boosts. Crit damage is nice though. Felicity wasn't nearly the steamroll Bosun was. This fight was almost 4 minutes, and pretty dang normal. The difference a lack of crits makes. I even died once. Fun fact, Hyperion sniper rifles twitch slightly to the right when you shoot. Luckily you'd have to be pretty far away to have to compensate for it. Finally, another mission reward item. Nothing happened in R&D, so who cares? Mining laser. In case it wasn't clear, the mining laser is obtained from the Infinite Loop side mission, available after chucking some eggheads out at airlock. Well, hello there. What marvelous timing that find was. I'm not going to talk about it too much since I'm mostly here for the guns, but this Quasar lasted me up until Felicity in TVHM, where I farmed another one. Anyway, the mining laser is pretty fun, cross between a splitter and a railgun. I only wish the projectile pattern was tighter. Also, it pierces enemies, I guess? I never noticed that. To be entirely honest, I didn't use it a whole lot. The next mission reward is really annoying to get, but is available right after Veins of Helios. What you're going to want to do is do the busy work for Tacitor, push the buttons, kill these dudes. But after removing the lockdown, do not quit out to turn in the mission at Jack's office expecting the exterminate mission to be there, because it won't be. Tacitor tells you to talk to Laszlo, and you're going to want to do that, because the exterminate mission doesn't unlock until you do some stuff for him. You know, free some stuff, push a button, kill him, and then go back to Jack's office to turn in the Tacitor mission to get Eradicate. And now you gotta spend like 10 minutes fumbling your way around the Veins of Helios because you don't know how to get anywhere the main story doesn't take you. Like I said, this thing is annoying to get. Whatever. Scan the things and push the button and kill the guy, and then you want to secure the dumb Dalek. That's how you get the Globber, which is not worth it. It is admittedly pretty funny, but it's locked to the worst element for base game, just like the Black Snake. I did get some use out of both that and this, though. There's some armored enemies around, and Zarpedon is also armored as far as I'm aware. Which meant the Globber was nice to have here. It did pretty decent damage, and the Quasar I got earlier was great at keeping those shields down. Zarp can be a chore sometimes, but not with Hyperion gear. No siree. After she was out of her suit, I finished her off with a few Quasars and the mining laser. Easiest Zarp ever. Globber was even kinda useful against RK5, which was nice. But this shotgun Zarp drop for me was much more useful. The Bosun, Zarp, and now RK5, 3 bosses that are normally not super easy to kill in these runs, made completely trivial. To be fair with Zarp, that Quasar did a decent amount of heavy lifting, but if I'd farmed one from Felicity, my guns would have been way better too from those chests, which would have made that fight even easier. Fremington's Edge is the last mission reward item from the base game. The mission is pretty boring. Kill some guys and listen to some dialogue. I'm pretty sure I maybe used this gun like 5 times. Whatever. You might have noticed I really sped through this run. That's because most of it was very boringly killing people into doing mission objectives. And the bosses were all mad easy more or less because Hyperion is by far the strongest manufacturer I've done an allegiance with, as of right now. Ladoff might top them. But what about my valueless personal opinion of the manufacturer, you ask? Well, I had a lot of fun. I mentioned in the Doll Allegiance that I really like when a brand's gear synergizes well with itself, and Hyperion is the textbook example of that. Oz Kit boosts accuracy and crit damage, which makes hitting crits easier and more rewarding. The guns themselves are good at hitting crits while jumping around because of the whole reverse recoil thing. The only comm Hyperion makes for Nisha boosts crit damage even more and boosts Tombstone, the auto-crit skill, but I didn't use that in TVHM. So that was one aspect of Hyperion I enjoyed. The other is being able to hip fire accurately while maintaining high mobility. Jumping around shooting people in the head accurately without having to aim down sights. Probably the most satisfying playstyle I've experienced in this game that I'll try to show off better later on. All in all, I'm sad to say Hyperion has dethroned TDR as my favorite manufacturer in Borderlands the Peak sequel. Oh, that's weird, they're in TVHM now. And gee golly, what's this? Turning in the final mission in TVHM magically leveled me up to max level? How very strange. I'm just yanking your chain. TVHM wasn't worth talking about, and I'm not grinding to max level manually. Here's the build I use for every allegiance. Fighting these lower health doll soldiers wasn't a big deal. Never is, really. And we already have our first gun for max level. Thanks to Unchained, any SMG I used turned into an absolute laser beam. Forget the actual lasers in this game. This is all you need. I was hoping doing this allegiance would change my opinion on Hyperion SMGs specifically, and it certainly has. I shouldn't be shocked that Helios has so many Hyperion guns on it, but for some reason I am. Something I haven't mentioned so far because I've barely used them is Hyperion's lasers. Every brand has a different shtick with lasers. Malawan increases damage while you're damaging someone, Doll pierces, whatever. While Hyperion's shtick is increased crit damage. I don't know how that fits into the damage formula, and I don't know if it's even added to or overwritten by the Precision Strike. I'm not a things knower, I'm a things doer. But that does add more to that brand identity I was talking about before. Even more extra crit damage with even more extra easier crits. What I do know for sure because I tested is Tombstone crits get the damage boosts from both the Precision Strike kit and the glass mod. So basically, because of how much crit damage I'm getting from everything, and how often I can crit because of, well, you know, life is good in the world of Hyperion. I don't even have a max level Oz kit or class mod yet here, so it all just gets way worse for the enemies. Having this much damage this early is not normal. The main contributor to my general damage output is definitely the crit damage from the kit and comm. I could feel it even before I tested if it actually boosted Tombstone damage. And look how easy it is for me to play the game while jumping around. Tombstone aside, accurately shooting enemies while jumping around to get the absolute maximum out of a Precision Strike was made effortless because of Hyperion's guns. And this is some of what I was saying earlier. The most fun and satisfying gameplay I've experienced in TPS is right here. Adding Showdown to all that, and this is just a meat grinder. No, not that one. And all with a random green SMG I found. Just wait until I get good guns. All that damage does slow down quite a bit when I don't have kill skills and also am fighting a boss. Raid players can relate, am I right? You bet your behind as soon as I got a kill skill the damage skyrocketed. That was lovely. And swapping to this pistol that actually has real good damage did more damage. Mind-blowing. Anywho, pretty easy deadlift. I enjoyed that. And the very first thing I'm getting in UVHM that it didn't in VHM is the Excalibastard. I didn't get one because it's a one per character type weapon. And not only is it quite possibly the best melee weapon in the game, it's also definitely the best freezer in the game, especially on Nisha, because any and all crit damage makes the critted thing freeze, including Tombstone procs. Basically, all of the mobbing from now until the end was quite easy. Look how fast Unchained makes this thing shoot, too. Mobbing ain't bossing though, so we're still gonna have some trouble with that.
If I see a single comment about my aim, I'm deleting my entire channel.
Anywho, with the minions being super slow to spawn for some reason, I had to play pretty carefully. After I was able to get a kill, the fight sped up quite a bit, which brings me to the one downside to this allegiance. You see, Nisha is pretty highly reliant on kill skills for damage, no surprise there, but with Hyperion gear, that issue becomes much, much worse. The Precision Strike is nice, but against Redbelly who doesn't have a crit spot in phase 1, I'm almost useless without Tombstone. A significant portion of my non-crit damage on this build comes from Showdown, which I can barely use without dying, so I'm nerfed pretty badly against Redbelly. All of that didn't matter nearly as much after I got him split, though. Getting belly frozen and hitting him with all these Mega Mongo high damage crits was really nice. Shot the guy so hard the whole game froze. Red was whatever, who cares. And thank goodness I got the Black Snake on my first kill. I'm only realizing now in editing that it's underleveled. Whoops. Golly, I didn't even mention shotguns in NVHM. They're amazing. Who needs a flat-up shotgun when you have Hyperion and Unchained? The precision strike means even at their lowest accuracy, Hyperion shotguns certainly aren't inaccurate. Combine that with Tombstone being Tombstone, and yowza, any Hyperion shotgun you could pick up will just shred everything. Due to a clerical error, audio won't be available for the next few clips, but I got the grinder working for later. It sure came in handy. Skipping a whole bunch of stuff because there ain't no unique skip between here and Felicity. I will talk about grenades for just a little second. They work, I guess. I know they can be very, very good for disrupting enemies and general crowd control, but I want my Quasar back. On my way to Bozen, I figured I'd give the Company Man a shot, and all I gotta say about it is, uh-oh, where'd all my ammo go? I didn't use the Company Man or Heartbreaker against any bosses since they're unobtainable without a save editor. Either you already have it, or you cannot get it. Now for a minute, Bozen looked like it might have been a tricky fight. Never mind. This fight was really easy actually. I was shocked at how much damage that Unforgiven did. He was frozen though. Normal game audio is back. Now I get to unlock a farm I didn't feel like doing before, the Fatale, which you need to do Pickles mission for some reason. No clue why. By the way, you want to wait until an enemy is fully out of their spawn animation before you try to freeze them, just like with Slag in BL2. The ice dot is on him, but he's not, frozen. And I'm pretty sure he can be frozen. Whatever, you still get the bonuses of cryo on enemies when they're like this. Where'd that come from? Anyway, now we go to Nurse Nina and grab her mission, Rough Love.
Nurse Nina need you for love.
Say no more. Ahem. Drongo Bones is the one that drops the Fatale, but you can't farm him until you've turned in the mission. So we do that and then farm the gun, and I have the gun now, and it's a good gun, yippee. You probably saw that 75% crit damage boost, and I didn't test if that applies to Tombstone, but it feels like it does, which is good enough for me. Remember what I said about not being a things knower? But gee golly, this SMG sure is the bee's knees if I do say so myself. But it's not super interesting. It's just a good, cryo-locked SMG with a nice grip bonus for the cherry on top. Like I said before though, I do like that idea of brand identity with the crits, so I'm happy. And it's also just very satisfying. I can't explain it. This playstyle scratches an itch I didn't know I had. This specific playstyle of jumping around, beaming nerds in the skull with a string of bullets, isn't really possible with other manufacturers. For fun, I wanted to use the Black Snake against Felicity, and it did not put in the same amount of work it did before. Up here in TVHM land, the damage just doesn't stack up. That Unforgiven did damage, yes, but the SMG itself, not so much. I am going to blame this death on the Black Snake and not my own skill. This here was the best burst of damage I got with it. Pretty mediocre. This fight took a little over 2 minutes. I've had much worse. Okay, so things went off the rails off camera. I spent so long farming a Quasar I got bored and grinder farmed a Logan's gun. And then I found the Quasar in the shop. So that's nice. I'm glossing over like 4 hours of farming I did between Felicity and the grinder, and I'm not even done because I also need the Invader and Viral Marketeer. We'll save that for later though, and for now, Logan's gun. It deals a launcher splash so it ignores the Unchained cooldown, which already makes it a top tier weapon. Oh, also, each shot explodes 4 times after the initial hit, meaning 5 chances for Tombstone to proc. Even without kill skills, the damage isn't too bad, and the DPS ramps up quick because of Unchained. But then I get Tombstone, which takes this from pretty decent to obliteration. Flying enemies are absolutely a problem, but that's a more than fair trade-off. Something about the way you use this thing really appeals to me. That feeling of carpet-bombing enemies is really nice. There are a decent amount of guns like that in TPS, and OzKids make it really easy to lean into that gameplay. I read-only farmed a couple different mining lasers before getting to Zarp. I also got to Globber, but we do not need to talk about how to get that again. That's that nice Logan's gun utility shining through, letting me have high fire rate very quickly. And that's not a bad amount of damage on a shield for a corrosive gun. Felicity really is tanky. I really wish this thing could come in other elements. Could be a very fun alternative to the Fatale or cheat code, but it's gotta be corrosive locked. And here's the Globber also being not bad. This one is a lot weirder though, with the arcing projectiles and stuff. I like weird though. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, Logan's gun is one of those weapons I wouldn't recommend using in Showdown. Zoinks, did you see what I did to that Eternal? That's neat. Are you seeing what I'm doing to Zarpedon? That's neat. I seem to have used the Black Snake a lot. I don't even really like it, but a lot of bosses are armored and this is my best corrosive gun. It is how it is. Weirdly, the damage kept getting better with the later bosses in the story. Don't know how that works. Well, that was the engine. I do love how this gun looks. Maybe I do like the Black Snake. Maybe it's the best SMG in the entire game. Yeah, I'll start telling that to people and showing them that clip. The damage on Logan's gun does drop off significantly when I catch myself without kill skills against a tougher enemy, but it's not like that happens super often. And that's still not bad considering how much of my damage is crits with this build. Crits I wasn't able to get there. I got Remington's Edge, but you don't need to see me get it, and I barely even used it. That zoom is just a lot. So hard to track the target. What am I gonna do? Shoot at scavs on Elpis from Helios? The damage isn't bad or anything, I just hate too much zooms. So Hyperion is very good on Nisha, with the only downside being an over-reliance on crit damage and kill skills, but that doesn't matter too much here because Quasar. And also this shock shotgun I found. Now this game makes it very easy to just use whatever garbage you find in the trash, but Hyperion lets that garbage absolutely shred, which is unique. But it's honestly hard to tell how much of that is the guns being good, or the common kit combo letting every gun be that good. Both are definite points to Hyperion though. This is the first time the peripheral gear was almost outshining the actual guns in an Allegiance. Makes me want to redo some previous runs, but using the Precision Strike Crap Shooter Wombo combo just to see how much better those guns can be. Anyway, we're not quite done yet. I want to get all the DLC guns too. And I had to grinder farm the rest of the leggies with no drop sources. And test the Viral Marketeer's special effect to come to the conclusion it's pretty wimpy. It seems to get bonus damage from Amp, but that damage gets reduced, and the Unforgiven reduces it even further. I don't know, something weird is going on there. Anyway, between the Viral Marketeer, Black Snake, and Glover, 3 girls with locked guns, this DLC full of armored enemies was pretty fun. Felt like I finally got to properly use a bunch of guns that were pretty situational in the base game. And I like the Glover. I don't know if I said that, but it's fun. I like arcing projectiles. Makes moments like this satisfying. The Uber Bandits in this DLC are another good damage test, and Logan's gun being able to melt them feels really nice. Normally I feel like I gotta freeze these guys just for convenience. Denial Subroutine. This is honestly my favorite boss in this DLC, and maybe the whole game, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the arena. This boss is pretty tanky and hard to get kill skills for at first. Once I got a kill skill off one of those tentacles, you can see I got a damn good bit of damage in with the mining laser. Not the best boss for using shutdown against either. It aims at a weird spot. The actual health bar is even tankier. Is this guy armored? I wouldn't assume so. Thankfully, this nice shotgun did nice damage against this nice boss, and it was a nice time. But this fight definitely felt more normal compared to other allegiances. Not like most of the base game that felt like a steamroll. The next 2 things I need are in ye old subconscious. Fish Tanis. Anyway, you run around grabbing stuff and putting it on other stuff, and then you kill the Spanx. Which was a pain in the ass since there's no kill skills and you can't crit it. But if it's standing near a wall, the Viral Marketeer's projectiles will pierce through it, bounce off the wall, and hit it again, doing double damage, which is nice. At least I think that's what's happening here. Then you gotta side with Gladstone Fish, as well you should, and that'll get you the Shield of Ages, a turtle shield, which is Hyperion for some reason. And then you gotta farm the Spanx for the Omni Cannon, which is by far the most fun sniper rifle I've used in this run. Just look at this thing go. 2 separate instances of damage, 2 tombstone chances per shot, mega Mongo damage, high accuracy. What a satisfying gun to use. Despair and Self-Loathing were basically Spanx but with kill skills available. So, pretty easy. Shadow Trap was also quite fun. I must say none of my gear gives me any unique advantage over any other brand, it's all just very good. Which has been the theme this entire DLC. Nothing uniquely suited to any enemy or anything like that, I just have very good guns and great gear to boost them. With the exception of shotguns generally, which are kinda in a different league. For Nisha anyway, Hyperion shotguns offer a higher burst damage than some rocket launchers I've used. The only issue is how quickly they eat up all your ammo, leading to a lot of time spent reloading, which I'm not a fan of. But the results speak for themselves. I haven't been timing bosses up to this point, but Eclipse specifically I think is interesting to get some numbers for. My fastest kill on him was I think 5 or 6 minutes. Well, this fight was 4 minutes dead, give or take a second, making it the fastest Eclipse kill I've gotten in an Allegiance by a substantial margin. That was achieved through short, high bursts of damage, unlike most other Allegiances where the fight is more or less a constant trickling of damage. Ammo did become an issue near the end, but there's boxes around so it's fine. And then there's EOS, who's really easy and fun, but not exceptionally interesting. For completing the DLC, you get a cheat code, which is like the Fatale if the Fatale wasn't locked to Cryo and gave you lots of boost while in Fight for Your Life, while also extending Fight for Your Life time. So basically, it's fantastic. On to the last weapon of this DLC. After killing Shadow Trap, I could have gone back to unlock the longest yard farm, but I was already so close to the end of the DLC I didn't bother. But we're here now, and I can kill this stupid earworm. 3 times. And then a dozen or so more times to get the longest yard. And the actual for real last thing we need is a mission reward from the first round Apollo Dome if you do the optional objectives. So we got that, and now it's time for me to say a quick few things about some weapons. I feel like I've made my opinion on the manufacturer as a whole pretty clear. Starting with the longest yard. Golly, that sure is a railgun, I tell you what. It has a pretty substantial crit bonus that I like, and apparently a 50% gun damage bonus while airborne. In theory, very fun synergy with the precision strike. In practice, I'm not sure how those add together, and it wouldn't surprise me if something was spaghetti-coded about it. I'm sure you could let me know. You're smart. While you're leaving a comment about all the stuff I got wrong, why don't you also leave a like and hit that subscribe button? Never mind, you're probably not smart enough to figure out how to work those. The taser was very boring, actually. So far as I can tell, it was basically just a Hyperion pistol. Obviously the funny lasery projectile, but I don't think that functions much differently from a normal bullet. And the damage was kinda lacking. I was disappointed because I often get this while going for other Holodome gear, but never used it. Cheat code. This is a bit of a strange situation caused by how easy TPS is. Comparing the cheat code to other SMGs is like comparing a sledgehammer to a meat mallet. But they're both being used against sidewalk chalk. They'll both crush the chalk into powder in one hit. This is a green SMG I have, it's around 10,000 damage, and it's melting through enemies with minimal effort. And here's the cheat code doing basically the exact same thing. There is a difference if you look closely, but in gameplay it's hard to feel the difference against most mobs. Back to the hammers, looking closely at the piles of broken chalk, you'd see a difference. But the amount of effort it took to break the chalk with both hammers would feel very similar. Not a perfect analogy, but you get the idea, I hope. While gaming, this felt basically exactly the same as the green SMG, even if I'm using less ammo per kill here. The last thing I'm going to show is my testing with the Precision Strike and Tombstone. If any math nerds want to give me more insight on this formula, be my guest. As you saw, roughly 90k on the ground and 135k while airborne, so Precision Strike does boost the damage, substantially it looks like. And again, as you saw, taking the Oz kit off lowered the airborne damage to expected values. I don't have any other crit damage spec'd, by the way. This is that same thing against a badass. Not sure if these guys have higher damage resistance than basic mobs or if taking off and replacing the kit did something crazy. The damage increase was still there though. This is with my class mod removed, showing lower crit damage for both basic crits and Tombstone procs. But still the same damage number for both, leading me to assume Tombstone procs are treated exactly the same as normal crits by the game. Not sure if I'm just discovering common knowledge or not, but either way I thought it was good to point out that Precision Strike does increase Tombstone damage. Okay, that's it, bye. Like, comment, subscribe, or I'll shoot you.